As you are probably aware, last week Israel abducted Greta Thunberg and stopped her and the rest of the crew of the Freedom Flotilla from delivering aid to Palestinians before deporting them. Palestinians still need our help. Keep donating to fundraisers and aid organizations on the ground, keep sharing updates from Palestinians, keep following the BDS boycott. The occupation must end. And do not forget about the genocides in Sudan and Congo as well, which have been happening for over a year. For those of us who do not endure these horrific circumstances, we must do what we can to help. Donation links are in the description. COVID is still here, it's still dangerous even if you're healthy, it's still killing thousands of people every week and infecting and hospitalizing many more. The virus is airborne, it lingers in the air like smoke, and it can linger in the air for hours if there's poor ventilation. COVID can spread from individuals who are asymptomatic, and asymptomatic cases can still cause lasting damage to your health. Vaccines are getting increasingly difficult to access, but for anyone who has the ability to do so, I would recommend getting a booster if it's been 6 months or longer since your last shot. Bird flu is becoming a growing concern as well. Please use caution when around outdoor animals and when consuming animal products. There are other diseases to be concerned about as well. I know, at least as someone living in the US, measles is a concern in some parts of the country. Please continue masking or start masking again if you've stopped. It really is the best preventative measure. Stay safe. Hi, hello, it's Rachel. So for people who know me outside of YouTube, it's common knowledge that I've been having a bit of a C-drama obsession lately. I recently watched The Princess and the Werewolf, and I need to be unhinged about it for a bit, because it honestly had no right to be as good as it was, and I am desperate for more people to watch it and to freak out about it with me. Also, it's free on YouTube, so easy access. I will be spoiling some things, but I'm gonna avoid anything big or like plot twists because I want you to experience this masterpiece for yourself. Also, before I get too excited about this show, I do want to give a warning. No one is ever pregnant, but if miscarriage is a sensitive topic, there's a subplot that might be difficult to watch. Chipa at one point lies and says she's pregnant because she's trying to protect someone, and she hopes that this lie will spare that person's life. As Chipa is not pregnant, and she has no desire to become pregnant, upon confirmation that this individual is safe, she starts putting herself in risky situations that absolutely could lead to a miscarriage if she were actually pregnant. And the show plays a lot of these moments as comedic. And I don't even have a problem with this development because, like, I get why she felt she had to lie. And if she's not going to be giving birth in the near future, like, she needs an explanation as to why she isn't. I just find it extremely off-putting that it's played for laughs because miscarriage is frequently traumatic for the people who experience it, and the show just like really plays up the comedy when she's putting herself in potentially dangerous situations, like situations that could potentially be dangerous even if she wasn't pregnant. And it's just very weird. Anyway, back to the point of this video and me being way too excitable about this very campy show. So, The Princess and the Werewolf is an adaptation of Beauty and the Beast, and you probably already have a general idea of what to expect from the show just from that tiny description. Chipa, the beauty, is being held in a kingdom by Kuimulong, the beast, and through them spending time together, she eventually falls for him despite his quote-unquote ugliness. As an adult with critical thinking skills, Beauty and the Beast isn't a narrative that I like all that much. I mean, if we look at the version most people are familiar with, the 1991 Disney animated film, it's a story of a woman being held captive by the Beast, and the Beast is cruel and sort of violent, and he puts her in the position of teaching him how to be gentle and kind, and in the process of her doing so, she falls in love with him. I don't like this narrative. I don't like stories where a woman has to reform a man through romance. I don't like stories where it's a woman's job to make a man a better person, because society already tells us that that's her job. And honestly, it usually doesn't work in reality. Like, it just feels like propaganda about how we only matter to perform emotional labor for men, and that they are like fully formed and become a better person through a romantic relationship. And that's something they should do themselves. It shouldn't be their partner's job to fix them. Anyway, things are a bit more complicated in this adaptation, though, as Kui Mulang is human during the day, but at night he transforms into a werewolf, aka the hidden identity trope. And this is something that only his right-hand man, Liu Jun, knows, as Kui Mulang covers his face whenever he interacts with others, as that is the custom of the king of the Beast clan. Now, in my opinion, it's very easy to make the hidden identity trope unappealing, because the trope inherently relies on gaslighting, and I don't love seeing that in a relationship I'm supposed to be rooting for. I'm not saying the trope never works. It really depends on what the external threat is that causes a character to decide to hide a second identity. But I am saying it's typically hard to get me on board when a romance is built on this trope. So you may be wondering, why did this Beauty and the Beast adaptation work for me, as I don't really like the concept behind Beauty and the Beast, and I don't really tend to like the hidden identity trope? Simple answer: the characterization of Kui Mulang. So, firstly, let's talk about why Kui Mulang is holding Chipa captive. So, as I've already said, Kui Mulang is the king of the Beast clan. It's an isolated sect, and all the inhabitants have animal characteristics due to a curse. There's this item called the Holy Pearl that Kui Mulang needs for two reasons. Firstly, to heal himself, as he never fully recovered from an attempted coup 5 years prior to the events of the show. And secondly, the Holy Pearl would save the lives of the people of the Beast Clan, as it would provide the needed energy to save the town water supply. After the coup, as Kui Mulang was escaping to safety, he actually found the Holy Pearl, but he ran into Chipa and she accidentally ingested it. It's ridiculous, I know, just go with it. Just accept the absurdity. Anyway, Kui Mulang has been trying to find the woman who ingested the Holy Pearl for these past 5 years, and he finally finds her when Chipa gets lost in the woods. Now, according to the research he has done on the Holy Pearl, the only way to receive it himself, now that Chipa has ingested it, is for him to receive her true love's kiss. Well, it sounds ridiculous to say, and let's be honest, the writers came up with this as a reason to minimize the kidnapping. He is doing this for a selfless reason. The point is repeatedly made that if the Holy Pearl provided no benefit to his people, Kui Mulang would just accept that he's dying and never would have kidnapped her. Chipa repeatedly tries to escape, and every time Kui Mulang is brought news of these attempts, his response is basically, "Of course she wants to go home. I kidnapped her. I can't blame her for wanting to leave." Like, he doesn't enjoy that he has put her in this position, and there are multiple moments that highlight how guilty he feels for kidnapping her. Like, yeah, obviously it would have been better for him to just be honest from day one about the Holy Pearl, but, this is a TV show, so we need the tension and the drama and the angst, so of course he isn't. Also, as I kind of alluded to, the beauty being held captive and this whole concept of forced proximity is kind of inherent to the narrative of Beauty and the Beast. So, if you remove that, is it even an adaptation of that story? Like, if you were to start cleaning up the messy aspects of the narrative, I feel like it stops being Beauty and the Beast and it just kind of morphs into something else completely. Anyway, obviously Kui Mulang keeps trying to find reasons to convince Chipa to stay, and he, pretty much without hesitation, agrees to every demand of her. Like, Chipa is purposefully trying to make things difficult in the hopes that it will make Kui Mulang give up and he will allow her to leave. Like, she asked him to retrieve specific objects from her home. She asked him to bring people from Dacia to the Beast Clan. She repeatedly tries to trick him into agreeing to send her home. One of the attempts involves a hilarious game of rock, paper, scissors. Another attempt involves Chipa using this fantasy equivalent of catnip in hopes that he'll just comply with anything she says. And okay, so I'm kind of conflicted on the narrative framing here because I feel like the writers are trying to make it seem like Chipa has some power in this situation, but like, she was literally kidnapped. Kui Mulang could easily not acquiesce to her demands, and there's nothing she could do about that since she can't figure out a way to escape. And besides knowing some basic self defense, she doesn't really have skills in fighting. Like, yes, I enjoy seeing her give him a hard time. I enjoy how determined she is to resist the situation because, again, she was kidnapped. But if Kui Mulang wasn't genuinely a kind and gentle person, this would basically be 365 days territory. And I really hope I don't have to explain to anyone why that is not romantic. As I've already said, in these adaptations, the beast tends to be cruel and potentially violent, and Kui Mulang isn't really either of these things. Yes, sometimes he's a bit more curt with Chipa than I appreciate, but he goes to great lengths to make her happy and comfortable and ensure her safety. The only moments where he could be considered to be violent is him reacting in self-defense, him protecting Chipa from assassins, or him losing control because of the moon. Because, we need the reminder that this is a supernatural romance, and that he is a werewolf. And of course there's something that makes him lose control, and she's the only one who can ground him in that state. But one of the things that struck me really early on in the show is how genuinely pliable he is. Like, okay, so I mentioned that Kui Mulang is in human form during the day. So during the day, he takes on the persona of Li Shong, a Dacia soldier who was kidnapped and is now Kui Mulang's bodyguard. And he enters a friendship with Chipa under this disguise. She confides in him about her planned escape attempts, and one of these attempts involved the two of them cross-dressing, and the in-narrative reason is literally just, we need a disguise, so them performing as a different gender is just so extra, and I'm confident Kui Mulang could have come up with an excuse to not do it, but he just goes along with it because he's curious about her plan. Like, there is so much chaos that Chipa creates, and every time he just accepts it because he's fascinated by her inventive schemes. Also, one of my favorite scenes is when Chipa has the idea that the best method to convince Kui Mulang to release her is to make him think she's in love with someone else, and this results in her pretending to date Li Shang. Yeah, I wonder why Kui Mulang didn't take that seriously. Anyway, she basically drags him outside and starts dancing with him, and then she fakes a kiss when there's like a crowd of people around them, and he gets so flustered. It's adorable. Kui Mulang, I could literally never hate you. But yeah, this is what I mean. Kui Mulang is genuinely kind and caring and easygoing, and he's constantly thinking of the rest of the Beast Clan and trying to protect all of his people. In my opinion, this narrative is an example of a good person doing a terrible thing because of desperation and limited options. Also, one of the things I specifically mentioned about Beauty and the Beast, and one of my biggest issues with that narrative, is that the Beauty is supposed to teach the Beast to be a better person, that it is her quote-unquote job to do so. This idea is completely nixed in The Princess and the Werewolf, thank God. Immediately upon bringing Chipa back to the Beast Clan, Kui Mulang buys a ton of romance novels and books on Dacia customs, and he repeatedly consults these books as he wants to learn how to be more appealing to her. And this is something that he knows is going to be difficult, as the first time she saw him in his wolf form, she screamed in terror. Hence why he even starts spending time with her under the disguise of Li Shang. He learns about the concept of marriage proposals and goes all out when he gives her one. He throws Chipa a birthday party, a tradition that the Beast Clan is unfamiliar with, and he gives her an item of great personal significance in the hopes she will let him get to know her as himself, instead of confiding in the disguise of Li Shang while keeping Kui Mulong at arm's length. Also, the exact moment that sold me on the show is a scene where Kui Mulong knocks out a guy who is trying to assault Chipa, and then he tends to her wound. And I just love how gentle he is in wolf form. Like, the juxtaposition of Chipa perceiving him as terrifying, and then in actuality he's super cautious and attentive, but she's like unable to see that because she can't get past how scary she finds his appearance. There's also a sequence where Chipa is impaired after an assassination attempt. There are so many assassination attempts. I think there are like 5 in the full 30 episodes. But anyway, she needs help. And Kui Mulong is taking care of her, and he's just so sweet and tender and thoughtful, and just, Chipa, if you don't want him, I'll take him. And remember that scene in Beauty and the Beast where Bella's in the woods and the Beast saves her from those wolves? Yeah, Kui Mulong is in situations like this all the time. I would say a solid half of the show he is endangering himself to protect Chipa, and he is downright ready to die for her by, like, episode 10. Like, yes, obviously he falls in love with her as time goes on, and at the start there is definitely an aspect of needing to protect her because of the Holy Pearl, but he's also just a very protective person, and we see instances of him risking his health for other people constantly. His frequent infusions of internal power to the town water source, even though doing so is causing his health to deteriorate rapidly. His protectiveness towards his younger brother who led the coup against him those 5 years ago. The fact that the Beast Clan has an endless number of guards, but he's more likely to protect them than to let the guards protect him. So even though we know he's just very protective and very self-sacrificial, when it comes to Chipa, we see that turned up even more than usual. The point is, I love Kui Mulong. I've watched like 8 or 9 C-dramas now, and I'd say he's probably in my top 3 favorite male leads. Chen Jae-yuan is just so good in the role, and the internal conflict of him hating all the lies he tells Chipa, but also wanting her to reciprocate his feelings because he's fallen for her, but also the responsibility he feels as the king and the duty to his people. Like, it's just so good and layered, and I do love angsty soft boys. So yeah, of course I'm obsessed with Kui Mulong. Chipa is also a great female lead. The writers kind of flip all your expectations of the beauty character. She's constantly trying to scheme her way out of this arranged marriage to Kui Mulong. She's not afraid to speak her mind. She's willing to play seductress. She's brave and risk her safety for those she cares about. Chipa might also be in my top 3 favorite female leads, honestly. Like, I loved her so much, and I felt like I was losing my mind seeing people call her manipulative. Like, did we watch the same show? She was kidnapped. She's allowed to behave however she wants to her captor. You guys calling her manipulative are deranged. Also, clearly I love Kui Mulong, but way to try to absolve him of kidnapping and calling Chipa manipulative. Like, the show doesn't minimize that this is a terrible action, and the show wants us to be on Chipa's side, but those viewers just chose misogyny instead. Exhausting. Another thing I want to mention, there are 3 scenes where Chipa dresses in male's clothing. 2 of these are disguises when she's trying to escape the Beast Clan, one of which I've already mentioned. And the other is a scene where she dances with Haitong, being unaware that Haitong is the very assassin that tried to kill her. And like I was saying earlier about Chipa disguising herself as a man, like, this just does not seem necessary. Like, if she can make a disguise that will cause other people to perceive her as a man, 1, she has definitely done this before, and 2, she can probably make a disguise that would not be so elaborate and would still allow her to present femininely. And then for the dance with Haitong, Chipa is leading the dance, aka the male role, so that's why she's wearing men's robes. But, like, she literally didn't have to do that. So what I'm getting at is I love my non-binary bisexual princess Chipa. Also, Chipa has a monster fuck. Now, since I've been gushing about the show for probably 20 minutes, there's something I feel I need to address. So, while Kui Mulang and Chipa's romance does work for me, and I love them together, we do have to grapple with the fact that the narrative is kind of telling people to be persistent in pursuing a romantic partner even after that person says they're not interested, which is fucked up to say the least. Don't do this in real life. It's bad. You're ignoring boundaries and not respecting the other person. But while this works for Kui Mulang and Chipa's relationship because of the extenuating factors such as Chipa judging him superficially due to his looks, and Kui Mulang trying to win her affections in part because of the Holy Pearl, this mentality is also seen with Chun'er and Ma Yingsheng, and arguably with Bai Ke and Hu Di. Like, it's very weird and uncomfortable that this mentality drives 3 of the 5 pairings that the show is invested in. Chun'er originally hates Ma Yingsheng because he's from Dacia and not very nice to the people of the Beast Clan upon his being kidnapped, which, like, kind of fair. He's tricked by Haitong in disguise as Chun'er to think she likes him back, and then upon being around the actual Chun'er again, he acts overly familiar with her, and then she suddenly likes him when he defends her because Haitong framed her for an assassination attempt on Chipa. Like, she couldn't stand him, he made it clear he was interested in her, and she is visibly deeply uncomfortable with his behavior. And then he speaks up for her because of the allegations against her. Allegations that neither Chipa nor Kui Mulang believed, by the way, meaning that she was not in danger. And she's suddenly spending all her time with him, and they quickly enter a romantic relationship. Gross. Hu Di originally has a crush on Kui Mulang and therefore is not interested in Bai Ke, and he has to repeatedly state his feelings, and upon her staunch rejection, he starts considering the idea of dating other women, leading to her becoming jealous and lashing out at him. Very cool and normal behavior to treat as cutesy and humorous. Thank you. So given The Princess and the Werewolf is pretty niche, it seems like the only people watching it outside of China are Chen Zheyuan fans. I really doubt anyone watching my video has already seen this unless you are a very avid C-drama fan. So if I've piqued your interest, feel free to leave recommendations for other shows. It doesn't have to be C-dramas. I've got a very long watch list of TV shows from various countries. I'm just currently deep in a C-drama phase because I love Zanzias. And then I've also kind of gone down a rabbit hole of liking some actors in the Zanzias I watch and checking out other things they have done that aren't Zanzias, which that's what happened here. I did indeed watch this for Chen Jae-yuan because I really enjoyed him in Handsome Siblings, and then I heard Werewolf, and that was literally all I needed to be like, I want to watch this. Oh, and one last thing before I go. There are a handful of kisses between Chipa and Kui Mulang, and I know C-drama kisses are usually pretty tame because Chinese censorship targets sexual content, and that can affect a lot of kissing scenes. But the kisses are really bad. Like, without a doubt, some of the worst kisses I've ever seen on screen. Like, I get it, the theme of true love's kiss is integral to this story, so some kissing is literally required. But I would honestly rather see, like, far shots or have the kissing be implied because the kisses are so bad. I say this because I don't want anyone coming back here after watching the show and claiming that I didn't prepare you for the bad kisses. I'm doing it right here. You are not allowed to say I didn't warn you. But even though I'm in agony that I wasn't able to get the passionate Chipa Kui Mulang kisses that I deserved, I still really want people to watch this. Like, earlier I called the show a masterpiece, and it is very campy and silly and fully absurd at times. But, like, not even exaggerating, the final third of the show is genuinely a masterpiece to me. Like, the execution of every plot point is just fucking perfect. Like, I honestly was not that deeply invested in the romance between Chipa and Kui Mulang before the final 8 episodes. But as you can probably tell from the fact that I made this video essay, I am a little bit crazy about them. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rambling, and if you do end up watching the show, I really hope you enjoy it. Also, feel free to come back here and talk to me about it because I love it so much, and I'm dying for people to talk about it with. If you like this video, giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing would help my channel. So leaving a comment if you have anything you want to say. You can also support me on Patreon, or if you don't want a monthly commitment, I also have a Ko-Fi for one-time payments. Hopefully I'll see you again soon, and have a great rest of your day. Bye!